When is Roxanne Perez going to make her main roster debut? Since defeating Mandy Rose for the NXT Women's Championship in December of 2022, Perez has clearly become the most dominant woman in NXT. Thus, she seems destined to be called up to the main roster. However, there is currently a big problem in the WWE right now. Too many women on the main roster competing for just 2 titles. The men have 4 singles titles on the main roster. Counting the tag team titles, main roster men have a chance at winning 6 championships, either collectively or individually, compared to the women having just 3. In the women's division, it is essentially all or nothing. You are either a world champion, or you are just a cackling childless cat lady in the locker room, with nothing better to do than gossip about other women in backstage interviews. Shayna Baszler is the longest reigning NXT Women's Champion in history. Yet she has never held a singles title on the main roster. Compare that to Austin Theory, who never won any titles in NXT. However, he is a 2-time United States champion, and former Money in the Bank winner. It is clear that Vince McMahon had no idea what to do with the women's division when he was in charge. However, Triple H is married to Stephanie McMahon, and has 3 daughters of his own. In November of 2019, he led the NXT invasion of SmackDown, with NXT being poised to be the 3rd equal brand of WWE. Now, NXT wrestlers get called up to the main roster and are simply forgotten about. After being in existence since 2010, NXT finally got Women's Tag Team Champions in March of 2021. However, by June of 2023, the belts were retired, even though NXT now has more viable female wrestlers than ever before. Thus, it seems that the United States might have its first female president, before the WWE figures out that only 2 belts and a roster full of women is not the way to go. If Roxanne Perez were called up to the main roster, she would quickly become lost in backstage politics. At just 22 years old, and barely 5 feet tall, she is unlikely to get the kind of push that a similar-sized Alexa Bliss got, becoming a 5-time women's champion. However, Bliss has not held a world title since 2018, and it is no surprise that the 33-year-old has not been in a rush to return to the WWE, just to be another warm body in the locker room. Bianca Belair is the longest reigning Raw Women's Champion of all time. However, she is now being relegated to being just a tag team champion. Becky Lynch, a 7-time women's champion, effectively went home and retired, rather than return to being a beltless mid-card wrestler. Jade Cargill is unable to win a women's singles title in the WWE, because she never competed in NXT, which now has 2 women's singles titles, just like AEW. Thus, the WWE is in desperate need of figuring out what to do with its women's division, rather than having an endless array of musical chairs at the commentators' table, like hiring someone like Joe Tessitore, who proved on Monday Night Raw this past week that he doesn't even know the wrestlers' names or the storylines.